Hello and welcome to SCN Corporate Connect. I'm Jane King at the OTC Markets site in New York City, and with me today, David Feldman, a partner with the law firm Duane Morris. Welcome.
Thank you.
And also Isaac Dietrich, the CEO of MassRoots. And today we'll be talking about cannabis, the industry, your business. I know a lot of people very interested in this. So let's start with MassRoots. Tell me about your company.
Well, MassRoots is one of the largest technology platforms for cannabis consumers. We have about 1 million users on our mobile application right now. And we recently have made 3 acquisitions, which are geared at expanding our portfolio of services that we offer to businesses in the cannabis industry. So ODAVA is our point of sale system and compliance regulatory tool. So dispensaries are able to report to state regulators exactly what they've sold and stay in compliance with their local regulations. And CannaRegs, which was recently announced about 2 weeks ago, tracks all of the changes in regulatory policy across 539 different jurisdictions in California, all of which have their own set of taxation, zoning requirements.
Wow.
In the largest cannabis market in the world. I mean, we're talking about a cannabis market that is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $3 to $5 billion within the next few years. California going recreational is going to be the single biggest event in the cannabis industry to date.
And that happens January 1st?
Correct.
Right.
January
Okay.
1st, 2018, which is really, it's right around the corner.
Sure is,
and
yeah.
all of those businesses are making their purchasing decisions and making their point of sale, decision now. So, really for us as a business, it's already January 1st, 2018.
So tell me, who are the users of MassRoots?
MassRoots is used by cannabis consumers and any jurisdiction with a medical or recreational cannabis law, and it enables them to rate and review the best products in their local area. So what we're really focused on doing is empowering cannabis consumers to make educated purchasing decisions. So you can say, I want a product that works really good for back pain, or I want a particular product to help me sleep at night. And then you're able to identify that product through community-driven reviews, and then with ODAVA, the dispensaries that are using ODAVA, you can actually see which dispensary has that in stock and how much it costs. So it's kind of like a closed-loop system of all the important information in the cannabis industry.
And it's a mobile app.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So, David, tell me about how you see the cannabis industry right now. We've kind of made a lot of progress a few years ago. Seems like things have slowed down a little bit.
Well, the train is out of the station, and I think it's inevitable that every state is going to do some form of legalization, and I think we're maybe 5 years or less away from federal restrictions going away. So the industry is growing rapidly. It's now a $6 billion industry, and that's just the sale of cannabis directly, not even counting all the many different ancillary businesses that we see as well.
Sure. So what happens when the federal regulations go away? Then do the states follow suit, or do they also have to have their own legislation?
We assume, like alcohol and some others, there will be both federal and state regulation, and the individual grow facilities will be mostly regulated, I think, by the states, and the federal government will regulate broader things like testing and things like that.
Making sure the quality is consistent.
Exactly.
And those kind of things.
Exactly. Advertising, marketing, that's what they're going to care about.
Okay. So, Isaac, I mean, how has that been in working in an industry that's still kind of quasi-legal? I mean, it depends state to state. I know, some stock exchanges in New York don't allow, how have you navigated that?
Well, cannabis remaining illegal under federal law is the best thing for our business.
Wow, okay.
Because it creates opportunity for us. If this were an industry that didn't have that perceived risk associated with it, you'd see so much capital and so much talent entering the space. I mean, you're talking about an industry that's growing at a compound annual growth rate north of 30%. I mean, this is one of the fastest growing industries out there. So if there weren't that perceived risk, there'd be so much talent, so much capital that we couldn't compete. MassRoots would have never been able to be founded. So we're in this Goldilocks period right now where I think the actual risk is much lower than the perceived risk. And small companies like MassRoots are able to enter the space, gain significant market share, and it's our hope that by the time federal regulations do change, that we have such great market share that would be very difficult for others to compete with us.
Yeah, that was a really interesting take on it, because I know, a lot of people won't even touch it, won't even go near it. And the banking, how's that been for you? I know that's an issue for some cannabis companies.
So in Colorado right now, I'd say probably 80% of dispensaries have bank accounts.
Okay.
We bank with a national bank. We can accept credit cards. We don't really have those restrictions. But I think going forward, that the kind of the greatest problem facing the industry right now is 280E on the tax side. So dispensary operators, even if you make a profit, you can't take standard business deductions. So if 280E is reversed, you would see so much more capital stay in the cannabis industry. You'd see a significant more investment in advertising services like ours and software like ours, but you'd also see so much job creation, and there would be so many ancillary benefits and economic stimulus for localities across the United States.
What's your take? I know Jeff Sessions, the U.S. Attorney General, has said a few things and a while ago, months ago. Do you think that the Trump administration is serious about changing the course that we're headed on with cannabis?
I think it's going to probably stay about the same in the foreseeable future because President Trump has said he's 100% in favor of medical marijuana, and he has said that recreational use should be decided by the states. Now that could change tomorrow, as we know sometimes that happens with him. Jeff Sessions, we know, is staunchly anti-legalization, but there are many steps he could have already taken that he has not, and he's left in place an Obama-era memo that says the federal government will stay mostly away from enforcement in the space, and he could have immediately taken it out, and he didn't. And so, but yet he's taking certain steps to try to stop the Congress, for example, from renewing an amendment that they've done every year to prevent the use of federal dollars going against enforcement of medical marijuana. And it was renewed in the last week's 3-month continuing resolution, so we're good till December. So he's taking some steps that are worrisome, but we believe he's not going to go significantly further. For example, when Obama, in his first term, raided 300 dispensaries before he changed his view. I don't think we're going back to that. I think President Trump sees that there is tremendous job growth, tremendous revenue. Colorado alone has brought in over $500 million in tax revenue. They've sent checks to every resident of Colorado in tax refunds. It's gone to education and such great things. So that's why I think they're going to mostly leave it alone.
Now, Isaac, medical marijuana, there's recreational marijuana. How do you see the division of the two? Do you think that medical will be approved first? It seems to be has the most public support. And do you know of any scientific studies or anything that you could provide as evidence for the government to kind of move these laws along?
Well, the way we view these markets is the percentage of the population who's able to walk into a dispensary and purchase cannabis, whether that's on the medical side or the recreational side. Certain medical markets, like here in New York, you pretty much have to be dying in order to get a recommendation, and there's a very limited number of dispensaries here, so it's not a true active market. It's very hard to monetize. It's not a focus of ours. Whereas, California right now on the medical side, it's quasi-recreational already because you have a significant portion of the population who's able to obtain a recommendation, go in and purchase cannabis under state law. So what we're really focused on in the model that's worked is you get a medical cannabis law in place in a state with a strict condition set. Then over time you expand that condition set and expand the market on the medical side, and then you make the push for full recreational cannabis. All of that so far has been done by state ballot initiatives. It's been led by the people. But this year, I think you're going to see the first state legislatures actually pass recreational cannabis. I think Vermont's poised to be the first state to pass that through the state legislature. And that's going to be a watershed moment for the industry as well, because then it's no longer going to have, you're not going to have to wait for the elections every time. And these states need the revenue. They need the tax revenue, and especially the localities as well. So it works.
Now, there were some fears, I know Colorado, Washington, they were kind of the pioneers in this. There were some fears about what it might lead to. There might be problems, societal problems, things like that. Has any of that come to fruition?
What we're really focused on is compliance and regulations, and we want to make sure that things are done right, and that when these laws take effect, they help reduce the black market. They keep cannabis away from kids. And we want to make sure it's done right because that's the only way it's going to spread. But what's really cool about Cannaregs is that a lot of their clientele are actually municipalities. They have the County of Los Angeles as a client, City of Sacramento, and government regulators love to talk to other government regulators about what's working for them in their localities, and Cannaregs enables them and empowers them to do that. So it's really a cool tool that has many applications. So we're really excited to have them as part of the family.
David, why do you think that the big stock exchanges, like the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, have not listed any cannabis companies yet?
Well, the New York Stock Exchange listed one. It's a REIT called Innovative Industrial Properties. I think they might take a little break now from doing that, unfortunately. NASDAQ just turned down High Times, which was going to merge with a SPAC. I think the exchanges feel that because it's still a federal crime, they are concerned about the government not being happy with them. And the perception of the marketplace is what they're most concerned about. I think once the federal restrictions go away, it's going to be a bonanza of companies uplisting. And you've got all these companies who are doing great listing here in the over-the-counter markets, but many of them are ready, and they just don't have the opportunity yet, which is too bad.
Okay, finally, Isaac, is it too late for newcomers to get in, and where are some of the opportunities still in the cannabis industry?
MassRoots is solely focused on cannabis technology. We want to find products that enable businesses to run their businesses more efficiently, to stay in compliance with state regulations. And I think the market has correctly identified MassRoots as having one of the best models to play the trend of increasing states with medical and recreational cannabis laws. MassRoots is a technology company. We can scale rapidly with minimal marginal cost, and we offer a play on the cannabis industry without ever touching the plant itself. So we're really excited, with over 25,000 shareholders, wide, diverse shareholder base from hedge funds to individual investors, and we're really happy to be traded here on the OTC markets.
Okay, thank you so much. Fascinating to watch this industry kind of grow and, all the growing
Absolutely.
pains, but yet how it's really kind of revolutionary too in a way.
Literally growing.
Yeah, so very interesting. So thank you, David Feldman, and
Thank
also
you.
Isaac Dietrich for sharing your story of MassRoots and the cannabis industry with us today.
Pleasure.
And thank you as well for joining us on SEN Corporate Connect. I'm Jane King. Have a great day.